And it is from this divine place of love that I know, feel, and sense God's amazing presence, God's amazing grace. Recognizing that Spirit is everywhere. Spirit is the beauty that is all around us. Spirit is the creativity. Spirit is that divine essence that overflows from each and every heart. And I know that God is love, that each of us are filled with that divine presence of love. And as that I stand in love, I stand in a place of truth. I stand in a place of knowing God's infinite power and presence, knowing that every problem has a solution, and for every illness there's a healing. And knowing that this God love, this divine essence that we each are, has called us forth tonight to be here, to be a part of this revealing service as we open, as we surrender, and as we embrace the infinite love that flows through this sanctuary. And how grateful I am for each and every person that is here tonight, for the beautiful gifts of this ministry, and for the exciting, wonderful revelation that is spoken through the truth of the message this evening as we embrace our beautiful Debbie Mcdonnell, as she stepped forward tonight to share her wisdom and her knowledge. And so it is from that place of blessings, of all the wonderful gifts of this evening, I know we go forward filled with love. And so it is. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our revealing service. Thank you for coming out on this rather chilly evening. I know I went into my closet and looked for my heaviest warm sweater, and it feels really good. And only in San Diego do we get to wear these about once a year. So nice to have you here. My name is Carolyn Holder, and we have Nancy Warshwell in the back of our sanctuary this evening holding the light. And it's our joy to be here, to be a part of this service, and to support each and every one of you. So please know if there's anything going on in your life, anything that you would like prayer for this evening, that will both be available for you out in our prayer room, which is right off the hall, to do a short treatment for you and just to continue to see the beauty in you and to feel the love and to know the truth. So with that, I have a reading to share with you that is from The Dynamics of Living Love, and it's by Charles Summer. So I just invite you to take these words within. Love, what it does is continuously give of itself to all. Love needs an outlet. Humankind is an outlet in potential, and this infinite intelligence we call love operates according to divine law. It contains all knowledge, all wisdom, and all knowing. Love can only reveal its secrets through our receptivity to it. Love expands our awareness, our creativity, and enhances our relationships as we express it. To embody this love means to fill our life with it by choice, to do consciously what it would have us do. Love is greater than we are, yet we have access it through our infinite faculties. Infinite love is intelligence, creative life force, the Godfather within is the source. Ernest Holmes calls it the thing itself. The wonder of it is it uses us to the extent of our receptivity. Holmes tells us, the intellect identifies itself with the spirit until it makes possible a greater influx of spirit into the intellect. However, sometimes it takes courage to follow our internal guidance system to embody love. Courage is involved because we're often required to reevaluate our old beliefs and patterns and dismantle the beliefs that no longer serve the greater good. Nevertheless, there is no idea, there is no power, there is no presence greater than love. Love is the seed of our being, just as the acorn is the seed of the oak tree. To know love and to serve its course is to identify with truth. Intuition is the name. Accessing it is the game. And so it is. Well, if you haven't gathered that tonight we're talking about love again. And the theme for tonight is love is all there is. And I have the privilege of introducing our wonderful speaker for this evening, the woman who is stepping into Reverend Sunshine's footsteps, for she's only been here a short time. And I wanted to preface that by saying that it's been rather quiet here at Seaside. Linda back in the back, who is our administrative secretary, probably doesn't think it's been as quiet as sometimes, but all the ministers have been gone. She's always busy. But the ministers are out of the house this month. They're off campus, or this week. They're off campus because they're up in Vancouver. Once a year, our United Centers come together for their gathering. And so this is the time that the ministers get to meet and make a lot of wonderful decisions and continue to grow our whole ministry. So while they're gone off playing, we have the opportunity to have someone new step in and to fulfill this wonderful spot of being our host minister. And so it's my opportunity to introduce to you Debbie Mcdonnell. She's been here at Seaside forever. She's a wonderful congregant. She and I have had lots of fun serving together, doing all sorts of prosperity programs, serving on the visioning ministry and teaching classes together. Debbie has taught Prac classes, Prac 1 classes, and all sorts of workshops here. And she has also stepped into the role of one year as our board president, as she served on our board for 3 years in a row, which is a wonderful undertaking and a huge commitment. And besides that, Debbie has stepped in as our director of our youth and family ministry. So Debbie has worn many, many hats. But what we're most excited about is Debbie has stepped into the calling to become a minister, and she is now a senior in our Homes Ministerial School. And so in just a very short time, within only seconds, she's going to be stepping in to her role as minister here on our stage. So please help me to welcome to our stage Debbie Mcdonnell.
Thank you. Well, boy, that was sure nice. Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you for that reading and the prayer. Aria and Jim, thank you so much for the music. It is so fun to be here with all of you. How amazing it is. As Carolyn said, I've been at Seaside for over 10 years. I really became involved when we moved here to Lake, and traveling this path of practitioner and now ministerial school, and stepping into my senior years, the time where they send us out to start to speak and to do some other things. So with all of our ministers in Vancouver, I have the opportunity tonight to be with you, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to be here at my home with people I know. Carolyn was my practitioner mentor. Dennis and Ginny were my prac teachers. So I just feel so loved and supported here, and I'm just so, so grateful to be here. I'm going to try to stay with the Reverend Sunshine's flow that she's created in this new revealing service. And I love this that she has on the back of the program, because I wonder where she came up with the idea for the revealing service. What was that? And it's from What We Believe by Ernest Holmes, and it's a whole bunch of things that we believe, but one of them is this that she has written. We believe in the direct revelation of truth through our intuitive and spiritual nature, and that anyone may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. And I like that. So anybody, we don't need special people to do that for us. We can just be our own revealer. See if I need my glasses. What Carolyn and I were sharing before, it's now the glasses and the thing and the paper, and so I'll see how we do. I do want to welcome all of you here tonight. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming out and spending your Wednesday evening here with us at Seaside. We know you have lots of places that you could be, and so we're very grateful that you chose to be here tonight. As Carolyn said, my talk is going to be on love is all there is. And that, of course, is Reverend Sunshine's theme for the month. She's been talking about love all month, and the book that you all have been reading is Practicing the Presence by Joel Goldsmith. And she talked a couple of weeks ago on loving your neighbor and then loving yourself. And now I get to talk tonight about love is absolutely all that there is, that there's nothing but love. And that was a new concept for me when I came to religious science. I came to religious science from 12 years of parochial school and all that's involved there. And so I had a lot of unlearning to do, and I had stopped practicing that particular religion long before I found religious science, and I had came to a belief system that worked for me, and when I walked into the doors of Seaside, I was like, here are people that think the way that I think, and that there's this whole philosophy and this whole thing that's created, and one of the main premises that I loved was that there is only good, and there is only love, and God is only love. There's nothing else. And that was so important to me because that made sense. That made sense to me, that God was all that there was, that love was all that there was. Emerson said, it came back to Emerson, which is somebody that Ernest Holmes read, love is our highest word and a synonym for God. So Emerson knew that. Emerson started talking about that. And Ernest Holmes in our Science of Mind textbook says that God is love and love is God. That they're synonymous, they're one and the same, there are no difference between that. So I like to use God, good, love. Those are my words, God, good, love. And that just helps me so much. When I first came and started studying, even the word God to me it brought up all that old stuff from my childhood. That God that I didn't really understand, the God of judgment and punishment and all those things. So even that word to me sometimes was something I couldn't use. So I found words that I could use, and one of them was love, the creative force, the intelligence, divine goodness. And then I took from the Native American tradition. I really liked the word that has escaped me, great spirit. Great spirit, great spirit. And that just helped me because it was so all-inclusive. I didn't have to figure out what it was. So if God is all that there is and love is all that there is, then there's nothing else. That's all there is. So God either is everything or God is nothing. And I was given an exercise once to practice that, and it's a fun exercise to try on. Well, I don't know if fun's the right word, but it certainly was enlightening. To spend 24 hours acting as if God is nothing and go through your day. It wasn't fun. It certainly wasn't. It was like this sense of sadness, this sense of what's the purpose, what's the reason, what's it all for, And then I got to spend another 24 hours acting as if God is all that there was, that God is absolutely everything, that everything that I see, touch, feel, hear, see, smell, it's all God, that there is nothing that is not God. And that was just so good. That was just so much better, to know that God was all that there was. Because there can't be God and something else. That's the thing. There's not two powers. There's only one power, and it is God, and it is good, and it is love. So, if that is the truth, if there is only love and only God, and we look out in the world and we look around what's happening, it doesn't always look like love, does it? It doesn't always look good. It doesn't always look like God, So what is that? What is that? And that's one of the questions I think that we all ask ourselves, one of the questions that any spiritual seeker is really looking to answer, to make sense of. Why does this stuff happen in this world if there's good and love and God and that's all that there is? Why does the appearance of the seemingly bad take place? And I got to do a lot of reading and a lot of going back and rereading, practicing the presence and looking at the Science of Mind text and pulling out a lot of my old books and looking as I was preparing for this talk tonight. And that was kind of fun to do, to get to review, all of that. And I came across some great things in practicing the presence. Reverend Sunshine, I was listening to the podcast, and a couple of weeks ago, one of the people at the end of service asked her the question about why do bad things happen? Why does God allow all this bad stuff to happen? And Reverend Sunshine's answer was that God doesn't do anything. God just is. And that's what I want us to really know, that God is just that love. That power is available. That Ernest Holmes line that I think he started his radio talk show with all the time was that there is a power for good in the universe and we can use it. That's like my favorite Ernest Holmes quote. I love it because that's the thing. There's a power in the universe for good and we can use it. Now, some people get caught up on does it use us or do we use it and blah, blah. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What matters is that there's a power for good available to us. And we hear a lot the story, like we equated it to electricity. It's there all the time, but we have to plug in. If we don't plug in, it's not working. So how do we plug in? I'm going to read this little bit from practicing the presence to you, and this is what Goldsmith says about these things that happen in the world. There's a whole chapter devoted to God, the only power, which I'm sure you've all read because you're following along with Reverend Sunshine on this. But God, the only power. It says, we engage in what is called spiritual healing, so we must have a principle which is exact. There must be no deviation from it any more than there is a deviation from the principle of mathematics or music. The spiritual healing principle is that God is love. God is life, and in him is no darkness at all. He is too pure to behold inequity, but if we can be made to believe that God tolerates sickness, knows about it, permits it, or is trying to test or punish us with it, we have lost all possibility of ever producing a healing. There is no denying the fact that this world today consists almost entirely of sin, disease, death, lack, limitation, wars, and rumors of war. That was written in 1958. 1958. Does that mean that God permits them? Not any more than the principle of mathematics is responsible for our mistakes in arithmetic, or the principle of music for our mistakes in singing or in the playing of a musical instrument. So there's not a God that's creating that, allowing that, testing us. That's one of the things that is, when I hear that people think God's testing them, putting them through some kind of I don't know what. If God is love and God is good and God is all there is, then that can't be. That can't be. And we can't have both. Either God is everything or God is nothing. So I'm going with God is everything. God is everything. And Eric Butterworth, who is a teacher from the Unity Movement and was a minister in New York for a very, very long time, answers the question similarly. He says, people often ask, why doesn't God stop the war? And he says, there is no war in God. Why doesn't the principle of mathematics answer your problem? Or keep you from getting the wrong answers? There are no wrong answers in principle. If God knew war, or if the principle of mathematics knew wrong answers, then the world would be in chaos. Water would run uphill, and the earth would fly off to be lost in a wild ride. So there's order in the universe. Many of us were raised with a God that was less than loving. I know I was. And it wasn't that anybody was bad in teaching me that. That was the belief system of the religion I was raised in, that there was good and there was bad. There was God and then there was the devil, And as a little kid, that was so, so scary. It really was. Terrified me when I was little. And So to get rid of those old belief systems, to let go of that, to move into this place of living and acting and being love, and knowing that love is all there is an amazing thing. Eric Butterworth tells this story, and I thought it was kind of cute. He tells a story of a little boy who's in a Bible class, and he goes to Bible class every Sunday, and he's learning about the Bible, and they're on the Old Testament, and all the Old Testament stuff is a lot of violence, and God's not very nice in the Old Testament, and he moves on. And then the little boy keeps going to class, and they finally get to the New Testament. And the little boy raises his hand, and he says, God sure got nicer as he got older, And that was Jesus introducing to us a more loving God, a God that was not vengeful, a God that was not punishing, a God, Jesus' message was love. Jesus' message was love. And one of the other books I got to pull out that I really enjoyed was this book, Marianne Williamson's Return to Love. And it's an old book, and it's been around forever. And of course, Marianne Williamson studied the Course in Miracles, which is all about love, And she says, I never realized that depending on God meant depending on love. I began to realize that taking love seriously would be a complete transformation of my thinking. Sound familiar? Change your thinking, change your life. Change your thinking, change your life. A complete transformation of my thinking. A Course in Miracles calls it a mind training in the relinquishment of a thought system based on fear and the acceptance instead of a thought system based on love. So that's my call to you, is to practice living as love, to practice living in that place of love. And how do we do that? Now, how do we do that? Of course, we have our spiritual practice. We have meditation, which I know Reverend Sunshines talks a lot about, spending that time in your own spiritual practice. It's reminding me of a story, of a talk that I had with Dr. Christian. And Dr. Christian's been a fabulous teacher of mine. And I was talking to him one day in his office, and we were talking about a mutual friend who suffered from a horrible drug addiction. And we had tried to help, and we had tried all sorts of different things and suggested they do this and they do that and they do that, and they didn't want to, they didn't want to. And it got to that point of, do we do the tough love thing, and when is it enough, and when do you stop helping, and when, and that the experts would say, time to just let the person do whatever they need to do. We were talking about that. And Christian just was thinking and sitting in his chair, and then he just looked at me and he said, but is that what love would do? And it just I went, I don't know. Is that what love would do? So as we go through our week, ask ourselves, is this what love would do? It's so different than saying, what is the right thing? What should I do here? Trying to make a decision. But then when we ask, what would love do? It's like a whole nother perspective opens up. What would love do? When I was growing up, I had a misconception of what love was. And it took me getting into some spiritual training, working with a mentor, and so on and so forth, to begin to understand that I had it backwards. I totally believed that love meant never rocking the boat, peace at any cost, don't say what's in your mind, don't upset anybody. You can see I come from a very codependent background. Surprise, surprise, Italian Catholic, And so I had to learn that keeping my mouth shut wasn't always the most loving thing to do. And that was hard for me. It's still hard for me, to speak up all the time, to say my truth, and to realize that's the loving thing. I had my mentor say to me, keeping silent, how is that loving? When in fact inside you're angry and resentful, and how is that loving? It didn't match. So sometimes we need a little help and guidance and assistance in what is the loving thing to do. And we have all these beautiful practitioners here at Seaside, or friends that you can talk to, and people that you can say, what does this look like to you? What does this look like to you? The biggest lesson I had lately on this, and I was in ministerial school, and I was moving along, and things were going good, and life was good, and everything was just happening. And then came the end of my marriage, the 23-year marriage. That kind of took me by surprise. Yet it didn't. But the unraveling of that and the working through that, through love's eyes, when everything in me wanted not to be love, I had to spend a lot of time in spiritual practice, a lot of time in meditation, a lot of time focusing on gratitude, appreciation. What would love do? What would love do in all situations, always? Like at work, same thing applies. At home, it's like we don't just get to do it here. We get to do it everywhere out in the world. So, I don't want to miss any of these wonderful things of wisdom that I came up with for you all. So that's really, the idea that I'd really like to leave you with is to practice this in your week this week, to practice being love. What are some of the spiritual tools you can do? We talked about the meditation, spending time in your own spiritual practice, doing your journaling, doing your gratitude journaling, talking to others. But mostly in your daily walk, to ask yourself the question, what would love do? What would love do? So at this time, I'm going to ask you if you can just clear your laps and settle in. We're going to move into the silence a bit. And if you're comfortable, you can close your eyes. And just take these words into your heart and into your mind. What does that look like for me to be love? What does that look like for me to be love? Now, being love, we're being God, we're being good, we're being that expression of spirit that each one is. So what does that look like? What does that feel like? To be love in my relationship, to be love to my children, to be love at work, at the grocery store, at the gas station, wherever we are, in every moment. So just simply allowing ourselves to return to this place. Just knowing that God is all that there is. That there is only that one power and that one presence, and it is God, and it is good, and it is love. And I know that it is that divine expression in and through each and every individual in this room. I know that I am one with this divine love, and just as I know this is true for myself, I know it is true for each person. That each one is simply that beautiful expression of love. And I am so grateful to know that truth. I am so grateful to speak these words. To know that all that needs to be known in this very moment is revealed. That anyone that is suffering a challenge, experiencing a challenge in any way, that a healing is taking place. That right here and right now, all that is given to each and every one to be successful in all areas, as it can be no other way, as there is only God and there is only good. With absolute conviction that I know this and I speak this. It's with that sense of conviction, that sense of absolute knowing, and an open heart that I just release these words into the divine action of the law, knowing it is so. And so it is. So it's the time of the night, as Reverend Sunshine likes to say, for the giving and the receiving, the reciprocal law of the universe, that as we give, we receive. And so I'll ask you at this time, if you have a gift that you want to give tonight, to take it out and hold it close to your heart. And knowing that all that you give supports Seaside in every way, in our ministries, in our Wednesday night service, our Sunday service, in all that we do, here in our community and beyond. If you see in the program on Sunday, we tithe 10% of all that comes into Seaside, and I believe last year it was over $50,000 that we tithe out into the community, into good works. So your contribution goes very far. So I want to invite the ushers up. And we're just knowing in this moment, giving great thanks for all that's been received, knowing there is just an abundance that flows in, through, and as Seaside in every moment, knowing that it is sourced by God and that there's absolute limitless opportunity and abundance coming forward. I'm so grateful to know this, and just let it be. Thank you. And I'm going to invite Aria to sing a song for us as the baskets are being passed.
If God is all there is, and God is love, then love must be what's underneath this crazy mixed up world. And all I see is fantasy placed upon the altar of a world that's but a dream. If love is all there is, then hate can't be real. And anger's just a game we play to hide from all our fear. How could it be such a mystery that the only thing that matters is the one thing we can't see? If we can just remember who we really are, drops of water in one sea. If we can just surrender God is all there is, and God is love, then love must be the only thing that's ever going on. And could it be we just can't see that the light that shines inside our brothers shines in you and me? If we can just remember who we really are, single drops of water in one sea. If we can just surrender to the love we are, imagine what a world that this could be. If I love another, I love God. If I touch another, I touch the hand of God. If I praise another, I praise God. And if I thank another, I thank God. If we can just remember who we really are, single drops of water in one sea. If we can just surrender to the love we are, imagine what a world that this could be. Yeah. If we can just remember who we really are, single drops of water in one sea. If we can just surrender to the love we are, imagine what a world that this could be. Yeah.
Gosh.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Aria.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. What a beautiful song, if we could just remember who we truly are. Perfect. Well, this is the time that you all get to share what's going on with you. Reverend Sunshine says it's a time for sharing your ahas or anything that's happened for you during the week, an awareness that you had. So it's a place for us to get to know each other a little bit better and for you to share. What do I use, Jenny, for the mic? This one. Thank you. It's working. Okay, so I know there are individuals. Carolyn.
First of all, I just want to say thank you to Debbie. You just did an amazing job tonight. We love you. So proud of her. So I have a question for you, Debbie.
Okay.
And this is, she doesn't know. We didn't talk about this before, so this is a test.
It's going to be a hard one.
Well, thinking about your Catholic upbringing and made me think about some of our children and the belief that the little kids sometimes have about good and bad. Mm-hmm. So what do you think is the most key element we can do to teach our children that there is only love in the world?
Yeah. You know, I was so fortunate that I was in religious science when my children were born, and that they got to grow up knowing that God was good. You know, they're so cute. You know, they're 17 and 20 now, so they're a little bit older. But they'll go and they'll listen to other people from other religions talk about things, and they'll come home with questions like, "That is just the craziest thing, Mom. Can you think what these people, you know, what these people think they, you know, about God?" And they just know, Carolyn. They just know. And our lovely Melissa over here is one of our fabulous youth directors. She does a real good job of making sure our children here at Seaside know, you know, that God is love, and love is all there is, and there's nothing else. And I think that's just it, just telling them, you know, just tell them. I'm sure your grandbabies know it, you know. So, yeah. Who else?
Thank you. I spent my whole life thinking I was quite separate from God, and it was because I wasn't deserving and all this stuff that goes on until I started studying the Course in Miracles, and then I found out something I did that I should have known all along, but I didn't. And out of that, I came to the conclusion that only just recently, honestly, really began to really study it within myself, was that, as you were saying, because God is all in all, that has to include me. So I have to be part of God. And that changed my entire life when I realized I was part of God. So I have to be whole, perfect, and complete, that's logical. Just plain logic. I can't be anything else but that. And because it was so logical, I couldn't argue with it successfully, and I've been able to give up the fact that I'm separate from God, and it feels so darn good.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. It does feel good. Okay, I know there's some people out here. Here we go. I see I watched Reverend Sunshine. She just waits.
It's a song that I teach my 16 grandchildren. And it says, God is here, God is there, God is dancing everywhere. Oh. And I feel that I can never fall because Mama's on this shoulder and God's on this shoulder. It helps me to stand up very tall. I'm visiting from Israel right now. And what can I say, but we all know that there'll be peace on earth forever and always because we know God's in charge. And we know that He's going to lead us in the right path. And we just have to have faith. It's called Emunah Shalema, deep, everlasting faith. And I have it, and I see you all have it here. And I do want to say you did a beautiful job this evening.
Thank you so much. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Okay. I'm feeling it. Who is it? Would somebody else like to share something? Melissa.
Hi. You do a beautiful, beautiful job tonight. And the one thing that really hit a note with me is when you said you did a thing about 24 hours of saying God is nothing. And I did just a couple minutes of thinking that. And I just in those 2 minutes, it was a very, very empty, lonely feeling. And if you just feel nothing, I mean, you feel nothing towards anything. And then when you replace that word nothingness, which is so empty, with the word love, then you all of a sudden just absolutely get flooded within the most beautiful way with nothing but a warm, connected feeling with every body, everything that we're surrounded with and everything that touches us each and every day. So thank you very much for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you. You know, I feel so much love here tonight from all of you, and I just feel it, I just feel it, all these people that I love, and I feel supported. I'm so grateful to be part of this Seaside family. Okay, I know somebody has something that's just been a burning desire. Anybody? Okay, well, thank you. Thank you all for being here tonight. It's just been fabulous. Wonderful, wonderful singers. We're so blessed to have Jim and Aria here. Thank you. That's so fun. And I want to thank everybody that came out to support tonight. Of course, Jenny's here always. She's the maestro of it all on Wednesday nights. And Ed for doing sound, thank you. How special that you were here tonight. And Cameron and Nancy, thank you for holding the light, our beautiful practitioners. I want to remind you that our practitioners are available for prayer. They're available for prayer in our little prayer chapel right out these side doors. If you would like prayer for absolutely anything at all, it can be for a joyous thing or something that you might be having a challenge with, whatever that is, our practitioners are there for you. So if you just be quiet, if you go out that side door, we'd appreciate it because prayer will be going on. And if you're wanting to join us in the family room afterwards, there's cookies and tea and fellowship, and we invite you to come out there and share and be part of that. I'd love to get to know all of you better. I hope I haven't forgotten anybody. Let's see, it says Reverend Sunshine's message for next week will be perfect practice. Dr. Christian will be back for Sunday service. So we know that all things will be back in order come the end of the week. And then at this time, we do our closing prayer and song.
So the lyrics are in your program. This is our prayer, a song of peace. We get to be the change we want to see. With open hearts and open hands, we lift our voices, in love we stand. This is our prayer, a song of peace. We get to be the change we want to see. With open hearts and open hands, we lift our voices, in love we stand. This is our prayer, a song of peace. We get to be the change we want to see. With open hearts and open hands, we lift our voices, in love we stand. We lift our voices, in love we stand.
One more time. We lift our voices, in love we stand.
God bless.
Thank you, thank you. God is all there is. God is all there is. One mind, one love, one power, and one life. God is all there is. God is all there is. And from this loving presence flows my life. One more time. God is all there is. God is all there is. One mind, one love, one power, and one life. God is all there is. God is all there is. And from this loving presence flows my life. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. Love, love, love. Sing along if you want. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. We'll go right to the chorus.
All you need is love. All you need is, there you go.
All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. Love is all you need. Love is all you need.